Hello and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. Delighted to be joined by Republic of Ireland international and Ipswich Town player Alan Judge. Alan, firstly, thanks for taking the time out to come and have a chat with me.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
No bother at all. Well, listen, we have had a couple of internationals on and we've been talking about their career. I should have started the series, The Man Behind the Player, because it's a very insightful kind of look at the players as they're coming through and kind of becoming them the player and the man that they do become. So if you want to talk me through your early career, when you start getting into football, the really, really early days of Alan Judge's football career.
Look, obviously, my dad used to play football anyway. Obviously, he played for Bray Wanderers. He was the first captain to lift the FAI Cup in Lansdowne Road. Lucky enough, I was a mascot on that day. I was 2 years of age. Obviously, I wouldn't remember much of it, but see photos from behind, from back then. Obviously, he played for. He went over to England himself. He played for Fulham. He came back for whatever reasons. Came back, and he had a good career, I suppose, in the Aircom League. And I think it just kind of runs through the family. Really, his side of his family were always into football, and whatever I've been told, I've been mad about football since I was 3-4 years of age. To be fair, look, my son at the minute is absolutely nuts about football, and it's not through anybody driving it through him. He just loves playing it.
Yeah, it's funny. I just see him running around in the Ireland kits and the Ipswich kits and all. It's great to see.
Yeah, he has every kit going. We've recently just got him a Real Madrid kit. He hasn't taken it off for 4 or 5 days. He has his name on the back and his age and everything. He's mad about it.
Yeah, well, that's a good age to get them started. Well, with you, like starting off, what was your earliest football memory? Was it that being the mascot, or was it a moment on the TV or a live game or anything like that?
I think it was. I don't know. There'd be so many. I started playing underage football. Obviously, I was a bit. You could play when you were under sevens, this, that, and the other. So I used to love watching Ryan Giggs play at the time. I used to always remember when my first proper memory was him wearing his Reebok boots. I know I would have been a bit older then, but yeah, just those sort of things, watching highlights of players and stuff like that, and it was brilliant.
So would you have kind of mirrored your game off Ryan Giggs and watching him and trying to kind of emulate him?
Probably, yeah, when I was a lot younger, yeah, but the older I got, it was more Paul Scholes. I really loved Paul Scholes as my type of player because I kind of felt I wouldn't say similar, I wouldn't compare myself ever to him, but I would like to play the game the way he did, and I was also brutal at tackling. So,
well, just in regards to your schoolboy career, then, do you want to talk me through your kind of schoolboy career right up until your teenage years and who you're
yeah,
playing with
well,
and so on?
I was playing with St. Joseph Boys. I was there ever since I was 7. Went all the way through the age groups, and I was with them until I left to go to England. Really, so that's where I kind of I broke in in the Dublin teams, and then I broke into the Irish underage team. So I'm very thankful for being playing at Joey's, and I know some people might say my dad was my manager for most of my time I was there. I think from under 12s up to I nearly went. So you had to deal with a few things on that side as well from players, but it was usually a bit of banter.
Yeah, well, I've had a couple of players on talking about it can be difficult. You're the man when you're winning, but when you're losing, it's all your fault.
Yeah, yeah. Like you lose a game because he's only playing because of his dad and all that. That's kids at that age. But then if you're playing well and you're scoring goals, nothing really gets said to you. It's like it's kind of expected sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, kind of. Actually, Stephen Beattie sent in a message last night. The former Cork City player, but he's most known at Cork City. But he said that your dad. Do you remember your dad tried to sign him for Joey's by offering him a pair of Predators?
He must have valued him a lot more than me because he only ever had me in a pair of high techs. So I wouldn't have minded a pair of Predators.
Yeah, well, he's actually playing over in America at the moment with Eamon Zoid.
I used to watch Eamon. Eamon played with my cousin in the under 17s and 18s of Joey's. I used to watch him, Eamon. I remember Eamon quite fondly because I used to stay down on the Sundays and watch the under 18s play. Yeah, he was quite good. He scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, well, they're teammates over in America at the moment.
Okay.
I can't pronounce the name of the team. It's Chat Wong
Yeah.
or something like that. But two of them are over there playing away there anyway, but he thought he would throw that in.
Yeah.
He was meant to send me a video of it actually, but he mustn't have got around to it. He said he was just finishing the job. But so talk to me then kind of about when you started getting noticed and when you were kind of getting noticed at scouts, Boy Scouts. Sorry.
As in English scouts going abroad, it would have been. I was very late. I was late compared to all of them. I didn't go on my first trial until I was 14. So I had boys, I think, going over when they were 12, 13. I was late, and I was always thinking, when's it going to happen? Obviously, because sad to say, the size thing was always on the mind of scouts, this, that, and the other. Because any feedback we ever got back from scouts, it wasn't that I wasn't good enough. It was just the height issue. So, and it was at the time. At the time, a lot of people played more direct football. I know it was only underage football, so they were more into the bigger physical side of the players. And so yeah, I would say under 14s, 15s when I broke into the Irish. Under 16s is when I got my chance really, and I went over to Liverpool, Sheffield, Blackburn, and then there was a few other clubs I was supposed to go to.
Okay, and you ended up signing for Blackburn. Was there any reason why you chose them over the clubs that you mentioned there?
It was just the way the whole setup was, the security of it. They had the place called the Lodge where you had 24 lads living on the campus. You're in the mid. Some people take it this way. You're in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing to get really distracted about. You had to have a car to drive to even get to the nearest shop. So I think it was the security of it, and I just felt at home when I was there. There was other Irish players there. Damien Duff was there. Jonathan Douglas was there. Eddie Nolan was there. Keith Tracy was there. So I had a good Irish contingent as well, and I think it was just more feeling at home there.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's a huge club. They obviously won the league in '95, and you spoke about Damien Duff and stuff coming through there. That must, as you said, that having that kind of home feeling, was that good for kind of getting you going? Because a lot of players get homesick, being away and they're in their digs and they're very lonely. But the fact that you had, and the big characters that you mentioned there.
Yeah, the thing is, I didn't really come across Damien too much. Obviously, I know Damien is from near the same area as me, so I know his brother very well. Jamie actually went on trial with me to Blackburn. Jamie, his younger brother. But obviously, I played with Eddie in the internationals, underages, and Keith. Played against him quite regularly. So that was probably the easiest thing of it all.
Yeah, well, talk me through kind of your early days of Blackburn and then getting in and making your professional debut. Sure, that was a proud moment.
Yeah, it was. Again, I was probably, Keith and Eddie made their debuts very early. I think they were 17. Eddie played in UEFA Cup. Keith played in the Prem, all those kind of things. So I was a bit late. Later on, I was like 18. Mark Hughes' last year, and I'd
they had a good team then, though.
Yeah, you had unbelievable players coming through there. You had like Roque Santa Cruz, you had Benny McCarthy. You had two guys, probably the best player I've ever trained with, let alone be around the same pitch with. And not many people would know that because he was a lot older when he came to the Premier League, to Blackburn. Yeah, and you had more Gams Pedersen. You had big name players, Craig Bellamy. So it was hard to break through, but it was a privilege to train with them every day. I got to train with them for nearly every day for over a year. And the last game of the season, I got drafted into the squad under Mark Hughes. I didn't make the bench, but that was my first time of travelling. So then I kind of started to kick on. Mark left, Paul Ince came in, and the minute Paul came in, he really took to me, and I got my debut under Paul Ince, and be ever forever grateful to him. I think it was against Grimsby in the League Cup, but it's something I'd worked to all my life, and to get those few minutes on the pitch, it was great.
Yeah, you spoke about Two-Guy there. You're not the first person I've heard say that about him. People have trained with him and played with him do say how good he is, and he was fond of an old Thunderbolt as well.
He's honestly, I used to do training. You'd stay behind, watch training. They do games, even 11-a-side games and training if you weren't involved, and then even in proper matches. He would very rarely leave the centre circle, but he would always manage to have 5-10 yards of space. And his passing range was ridiculous. And as you say, I always remember the goal he scored against Tottenham, the volley that came out to him, and it just flew into the top corner.
Yeah, some of the goals he could have his own goal of the season contenders. But you spoke there about Mark Hughes and Paul Ince and stuff like that. Well, it must have been nice knowing. Obviously, you're playing and training with the likes of Santa Cruz and these types of heads, Craig Bellamy, who were all flying at the time at Blackburn. I remember Santa Cruz had a brilliant season, and Bellamy was great under Mark Hughes as well. But just having those kind of lads training, big characters managing you, you must have felt, great that you were kind of in and around these surroundings with these people.
Yeah, because they had standards. They were players that, they liked things right, and if they weren't done right, they'd let you know. So like we had the captain at the time, Ryan Nelson, probably one of the most professional people I've ever been around. You had Andy Todd, he definitely lets you know if things aren't if you're not doing things right. And then you had Brad Friedel as well. So
Was Chris Samba there as well?
Chrissy came in under Chris was there. Chris was honestly he's one of the biggest kids I've ever met. But he's brilliant. Great defender. So they were all there, and just you just to see what first team players put into where they got to. Craig Bellamy was probably one of the most. I would watch him as well. He was so driven at what he wanted to do that nothing really got in his way.
Did you foresee him becoming a coach?
To be honest, as I said, I only really got to train. I didn't really get to really know Craig that much, but I was just watching him. But at that time, I probably wouldn't have taken in. You would probably look at the likes of Ryan Nelson, thinking that they'd want to be coaches, Brad Friedel, etc. Just the way they talked, and I think I came from the era of you only spoke when you were spoken to, kind of thing. First teamer said jump, and you say how high. Where I think maybe it's gone a little bit away from that at the minute, where it's good. A lot of younger lads have a bit of, I wouldn't say more confidence or arrogance, but like they're not afraid to show it a bit more, which is a good thing.
Yeah, able to express themselves a bit more.
Yeah, as long as it's within, in a confident way, I would say.
Yeah, well, Shane Duffy was on with me the other day, and he spoke about the same thing. And he goes, at Everton, I was a bit kind of maybe overwhelmed, he said, but I was taking it all in. Wasn't really saying much, but I was taking it all in around me, because he does say when you're kind of up there as a young lad, he was 17, you were 18. When you're up there as a young lad training with these lads, you probably would have seen on the telly and stuff like that. And when you move from the youth team up to the first team, the standard is unbelievable. And you said what they put into themselves for training, even each day, is uncanny. Yeah. Well, I can only go off what people tell me.
That's the thing. You wanted to be like a sponge. You just wanted to soak in any bit of information that was getting, that was getting brought to you. And like we had Robbie Savage there as well. Robbie Savage was one of the biggest characters, but he was the best at bringing out a bit of character in a young lad, because he wouldn't be at you in a bad way. Like he would banter you, but he would bring it out. So like you had to kind of come back with something at him, and so I always remember him as well, because he done it in a good way.
Yeah, well, you need those type of characters to create that buzz around the dressing room. Otherwise, you're just kind of going in. As you say, it does feel like work. Was obviously with football, you want that to feel like fun as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, talk me kind of through, because you went on a couple of loans then throughout your Blackburn career. After the League Cup, kind of talk me through after the debut and kind of making your loan moves to Plymouth. Were you at Plymouth when Conor Howerham was there?
I wasn't. Conor was I think Conor could have been a year or two after, maybe even 3 after me. So I went to Plymouth quite young. Paul Gallagher was there on loan at the time from Blackburn. And,
striker, yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking to Gally, this, that, and the other, and I said, yeah, maybe looking to get out on loan, because I got a taste of a bit of action, and I knew that was probably the next step in what I needed to do. And lucky enough, Gally put a word in to the manager, Paul Sturrock. Literally, it was 2 days later, he rang up saying he wanted to take me on loan. He must have seen a few bits, this, that, and the other. And lucky enough, I went straight into a championship team, because usually you could go down to League Two, even conference teams on your first loan.
Didn't he get a move off the back of that job? Was it Blackburn or some Premier League team? Southampton?
No, he was at Southampton before that.
Oh, sorry, Paul Sturrock. Yeah, because he came up with a very good reputation. He was a established manager at the time.
Yeah, he was very good to me. Again, he got me playing regular football, easy to talk to, and just overall a nice man.
Yeah, well, you obviously you had 2 spells there. So did he bring you back again, or was he gone from manager? Or
Yeah,
was he still there?
yeah. I went from January to the first one was January till the summer. Had a great 6 months. We survived. I was on top of the world. I was playing well. Everton scored a few goals, and then I went back again for the second year. And to be fair, Paul was still the manager. It didn't go the way we wanted it to go. We ended up getting relegated. Paul Mariner came in as manager at the time, but me at my stage, it was just me probably. I had the other end of it then, not going so well. I wasn't. I was 20, 21. Probably stopped looking after myself like I should have, and I paid the price for it. Where I ended up having to go and play in League One after that.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think a lot of people do that, but people forget that, and I think you'll probably agree with me this way. Footballers are humans, and you can sometimes that can happen, where you make the wrong decision and it can cost you, but it's how you bounce back from that, I suppose, is
Yeah,
how you show your true character.
yeah. Look, I didn't do anything silly. I probably just relaxed off in my training program, what I would used to do, this, that, and the other. And you know, you're a young lad. You have to be allowed you have to be able to make these mistakes to come back. And then from then on, I could start getting back into what I used to do, and if not, got better.
Yeah, well, you went to North County then on loan after that. So talk me through that, and you signed then permanently with them
Yeah,
after. So if you
well,
want to talk through, I suppose, signing on loan and kind of the rest, then as you say, will be
well,
history.
when I went back, I can't remember when I went. I went back to I went back to Blackburn, and I can't remember when it happened. But Paul Ince lost his job. Big Sam Allardyce came in. So it was funny though. Sam came in. I came back from Plymouth, and he put me straight into a squad. He put me on the bench out of nowhere. Because if I remember correctly, it was a funny thing actually. We played a behind closed doors game for the players that hadn't been playing. So I came back. I played in it. We played against Wolves. If I remember correctly, Mick was there. Mick McCarthy was there, and I did really well in it. And then Mick came up to me after me, and obviously I just got spoken to Mick. And next thing I knew, I had a phone call from my agent 3 days later saying Mick's interested in signing you. I'll have to actually say that was what Paul Ince was in charge. Actually, sorry, because it was actually before I went to Notts County. So I always found that weird. So me and Mick have always managed to cross paths one way or the other because he tried to sign me 2 or 3 times. So, but getting back to I went back to Blackburn. Big Sam put me in. I didn't play. I didn't get on the pitch under Sam, but I played in the League Cup under him. But I didn't play in the Premier League. But I was on the bench for like 3 or 4 Premier League games, thinking I could be in here. I could be getting a chance. So anyway, went on. We got to the summer. He came to me and said I wasn't going to be part of his plans. Fair enough. I was grateful that he told me that. I learned a lot, and I went on to Notts County, and you know I ended up having a great time in Notts County.
So talk me through that, like kind of how you did that season and then why you signed for them permanently.
So I went there, and I went there to start, and it just again when I went there, Craig Short was the manager who used to be at Blackburn actually. So Short, he knew me from then. So I went and played under Short. I was enjoying it I was loving it. And then sadly, Shorty lost his job at that time at Notts County. It was a manager coming in every 4 or 5 months. So Paul Ince came back in again, which I knew from my first time at Blackburn. So I knew what I could do, and he knew what I could do, and I was enjoying it. Sadly, I broke my foot under Paul, and by the time I came back, Paul had lost his job as well, and then another manager came in. So Curle actually came in at that time, and I think Curle got the best out of me under my time there at Notts County. He put me in number 10 position, and it was just I kicked on massively from there.
Do you find that frustrating? When you get a manager, say like Paul Ince, who knows how to play to your strengths. I know you say Keith Curle got the best out of it and something like that, but at that time, are you thinking, "Oh no, the manager who I really like working with is gone now. This could go sour with the new manager, depending on kind of what way he goes." Like, I don't think people really realize when a new manager comes in, it can be make or break for people. And obviously for you, it was make.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Though they're judged on results, and at the time for Paul, I think we hadn't won in nine games or something like that, and then the owners, which they did, and not county at the time, pulled the trigger very early. So yeah, you do, but that's like that for every player. You don't know when a new manager comes in, the uncertainty of it, and as I said, it's always a clean slate for most players, because most players wouldn't have played under the new manager that comes in.
Yeah, when you were playing your best football at Notts County, and then Blackburn came back in for you. Is that correct?
Yeah. I had a few clubs come in for me, but the minute Gary Bowyer rang me, who was my old youth team manager, took the job at Blackburn, there was only one place I was going. I actually, to be fair, I went down to Ipswich. I met Mick. I was down there. Everything was more or less agreed, but my wife Emma was heavily pregnant at the time, and we were trying to agree my contract, but the owner at the time was away on holiday, and Blackburn came in for me. They wanted to get the deal done straight away. My wife was due in the next week, so I wanted to try get settled somewhere, get things sorted. And just the lure of going back to my old club, where I didn't get to play as much football, first team football, as I wanted, because obviously they were in the Premier League. We had big stars, everything like that. So, just that draw of going back to my old club, really.
Well, you probably felt like you had unfinished business there.
That's exactly what it was. It felt like home, and I went back, and yeah, some people say it might have been the wrong decision, but you never know until you try it, really.
Yeah, 100%. And Shane Duffy would have been there when because Gary Bowyer brought him in. Was he there when you were there?
But no, see, I only ended up lasting there 6 months, because there was things that went on that, not false promises, false things that had gone on. I went back in there. What was it? What would I say? It was, the Venkies had taken over. They were given, they supposed to be giving out massive contracts to players, fair enough, and they were cutting the budget at the time. So you had players the likes of me, Chris Taylor, who'd come from, I think it was Oldham at the time. You had Alex Marrow, who'd come from, someone else in the other league. So we were on the new budget, if you know what I mean, which was fair enough. So
yeah,
I came in, I played the first 5-6 games, played really well, got man and match in a few of them. We had a bit of an indifferent start, and then my daughter was born. We had Emily. We had her on the Thursday night. I didn't play on the Saturday, which I totally understood about, because I was completely wrecked because of the way everything went at the time. So then I spoke to the manager. The manager told me himself, he said, you'll be back in the next week or two. And it was 12 weeks later, I still hadn't been back in the team. And I spoke to the manager, and I asked him why. And he couldn't give me a reason why. And that's when the alarm bells rang in my head. And I was just like, well, I'm not. And this isn't like me thinking I should be playing. Football's a short career. Wherever I go, I want to play. You know what I mean? I don't want to sit there and be happy just sitting on the bench. Your football career, you want to play as much as you can. So that was in my mind. So we initially did a loan move then at Christmas time, just after Christmas time, to Brentford.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you must have had real kind of mixed emotions at that time, because obviously you're on the high of having, your daughter, and then you're thinking, oh, you're gonna get back in. Football's gonna be great. My life is great. I want to keep, that high. But obviously things didn't work out in that sense for you, which is unfortunate. But at Brentford, I suppose you got things back on track. So talk to me about getting the loan move there, and then we'll kind of go from the loan move to talking about making your Royal debut, getting in there, and then we'll come back to Brentford and kind of go through your time there.
Oh, the one thing I would say about Blackburn, I would never regret going back there. I never regretted it, and I still don't regret going back there because of what ended up, probably having the best 5 years of my career at Brentford. That we're going to talk about. Always grateful. Things sometimes it just don't work out, so I'm not really. I wouldn't say spiteful because it didn't work out with Blackburn. I gave it a go. There's a lot of great people there. People I still talk to, and I wish them all the best, because Blackburn were a major part of my my development.
Well, I think as well, it's a fair few of the Irish lads, I suppose, from talking to them. John Egan, went to Sheffield United, didn't really end well. Went back there. Now look at him. So there is players who kind of come and go back to clubs, and it might not have worked out the
Yeah,
first time, second time around, but you never know, as you said already, till you go back and try it. So there's no harm, like in life, if you feel like you've unfinished business, there's no harm trying to jump back in the
yeah,
ring,
and
say, and give it a go.
you want to test yourself as well. That's the thing. You don't want to just take an easy option sometimes. You want to test yourself, and that was about testing myself, thinking I can go back here and finish what I didn't finish first time around. But as again, it didn't work out that way, and then I moved to Brentford, and that move was a godsend. Really, it got me playing to my maximum, if anything. That place did. So yeah, it was brilliant.
Who was managing at the time, Alan?
Mark Warburton. Mark tried to sign me a few times for Brentford when he was sporting director under Uwe Rosler. It never happened at the time. I was watching Brentford. I was watching the football they were playing, the formation, everything suited. I spoke to the sporting director there, Frank McParlin, and from the minute I spoke to them, it was literally, I would just want to get down there and play football.
Yeah, and that's what you did. So what was you spoke about how your football career. Did your family move down to Brentford from
Yeah,
Blackburn?
yeah.
They had everybody together, like.
Yeah, did straight away. They got me an apartment. I moved my daughter, she would have been 6 months old at the time. 6 months old. And then me and Emma, we still had a few things up in Blackburn because it was only initially a loan move.
Yeah.
So we went down there perfect. And the minute we went there, settled in. Before I even got there, I spoke to Jonathan Douglas. Dougie was there. Alan McCormick was there. So I spoke to them. Spoke to Dougie mostly because I knew him of playing against him and just obviously from Blackburn. And I couldn't have asked for any more. Anything I needed or whatever, he was there. He was helping. He was, as was the club. Their personal liaison, Peter Gillen, who's a massive Brentford fan. He has been for I think like 50 years. I couldn't have asked any more from any of them.
Well, I think that goes to show, like, there is so much that goes into a move that people from the outside don't obviously see. People are moving their families, they're moving homes. There's a lot that it's not just, oh yeah, they're in the squad and they go and play football. There's so much, like, as you say, it's your life. It's not
Yeah,
just bring your boots and play a match. You're bringing baggage your whole life around with you or wherever you move to. So the fact that anyway you were able to get settled was obviously key.
yeah. I say the majority of the majority of fans understand it's not just literally pick up your boots and go. Especially when you have a family. It's you have to think things through, and you have to have your other half willing to do things, and yeah, all those kind of things come into play. But yeah, but my wife always knew the chance of me playing first team football, playing regular football. She didn't even think twice of saying no. She just goes, "Yeah, let's go." Then that was it.
Yeah, well, I think as well because some people in the Premier League, I know I've heard of a few stories where people's wives just weren't willing to move from London to say Liverpool or something, and that hampers deals for players as well. But it's nice that Emma has always kind of backed you and always kind
Yeah,
of gone with what you wanted to do.
yeah. I'm always a bit wary when I read those kind of stories because people don't know the full truths of things. Eh, you know, it's easy sometimes for a newspaper just to say, yeah, this player didn't want to move because his wife didn't want to move. So sometimes I would find that it would be more often not true.
Okay, well, you know better than me, so at least we know that now for future reference. But talk me talk me through the I suppose because you went to Brentford and then you signed permanently with Brentford. So what was you obviously had a great time on the loan move, and then you wanted to sign with them with the club, really pushing to get that deal done.
Yeah, I was pushing for it to get done. Really, I just you know from minute one, I said Blackburn was my home when I was younger, but the bunch of lads that we had, the team that we had, it was just a great setup. It was a great environment to be around, and we enjoyed our time down there for those 6 months. And it was like we tried to get that deal done as soon as the season finished, really, because We got promoted to the Championship. I knew I was probably going to play every week. I had a manager who trusted me and played me in my right, played me all the time. So yeah, everything just seemed to click into place.
Well, kind of, you were saying obviously things were kind of starting to click into place. Sorry. You then made your Ireland debut. What was it like getting called up? I suppose just the whole setup. What was it like? The call up, the debut. Talk me through it from your own perspective.
Because it's funny because I didn't believe until I got there. You know what I mean? I didn't believe until I got into the squad, until I was there physically in front of the players, like in front of Robbie Keane, in front of everybody, Shay Given, everybody. You know what I mean? These are players that have played in World Cups and Euros and stuff like that. So it was another. I always saw it as another opportunity to learn and to kind of get any little bit of information I could get, and take it on board.
Yeah, well, Martin and Roy would have been managing them. What were they like with you? Did either of them call you up or anything? Like, as in physically?
Yeah. Martin was in constant contact with me, especially when I broke my leg. He was in contact with me. There was actually just a quick one on Roy. Not many people know this, but I know because obviously a few things come out about Roy and stuff. When I broke my leg, Roy was probably one of the first people to be in contact with me. So anyway, a few weeks down the line, Ireland were playing Holland, if you remember, at the Aviva, and I was still recovering from my leg, and he rang me up and he invited me into his family box at the Aviva. So obviously I had the invite. I went over with my family, this, that, and the other, and this is obviously after I made my debut, and I was forever grateful for that because technically I was in the squad, but I wasn't really in and around it at the time. I wasn't a squad member really, and they invited me down to the change room after the game, this, that, and the other, and so it was great. They made me feel part of it, both of them, and Roy initiated that first by getting me over and inviting me to sit in his box and watch the game, bring my family with me.
Well, I think that is the thing with Roy is that a lot the bad stuff is always very well publicised. Many of the good stuff he does is kind of hidden away. Like, obviously you don't go around shouting that from the rooftops, but there is moments where he can be very classy like that. I've heard other stories too.
And yeah, there is other stories, and obviously some people, there is things that have happened, but that's not my it's not my place to say anything on those kind of things. You know what I mean? So, he's playing under Martin and Roy. They're demanding, they want high standards. So I enjoyed it, and I'll always be grateful to them. I got my debut under Martin.
Yeah, well, I'd say you thrived off it as well because you spoke about growing up and watching World Cups. I'd say you would have grown up watching Roy Keane. He'd been playing in '94 well, obviously not 2002, but he got us to 2002 pretty much.
Yeah, watching Roy and then have him come up to me in training, giving me advice, this, that, and the other, and then watching Robbie Keane in training, that was just, his movement is ridiculous. I couldn't believe the things that he used to do in training, his movement just to get away from people. I was just like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, people always come on about him. In my opinion, him or Roy would probably be the two best I've ever seen. At my age, I mean, if we go back to the 80s, 90s, I'm sure there's players that are up there as well. Yeah. But did you speak much with Wes Hoolahan, because people were kind of always comparing you?
Yes, Wes always spoke to Wes because people always saw us that we were quite similar, and I would probably say that Wes is the best player I've played against, without doubt. It's just, I played against him when he was at Norwich and just watched him. Obviously, we were both number 10s, but I would say we were different number 10s, as in I would run him behind a lot more than him. I would probably stretch the play a little bit and this, that, and the other. He would be always on the ball, dropping deep, doing little 1-2s, this, that, and the other, and he always kept himself in fantastic shape as well. There was always that comparison, and there always is going to be that comparison because of the type of players that we were. But yeah, I would always say Wes has probably been the best player I've played against, because I played against him a few times, and every time I played against him, he was always brilliant.
Well, that's a serious compliment for him. But as we're kind of staying on compliments, you must have took that as a real compliment then if people were comparing you to him. I know he got into his Ireland career quite late. You know, he probably should have been in there earlier, and a lot of people were calling from there to be in there earlier. But having, I suppose, comparisons with him is not always a bad thing, is it?
No, because yeah, as I said, he's a very good player, and I think, as I said, we were similar in a few things with the way we played the game. So yeah, it was always a compliment to be associated with that.
Yeah, well, kind of just I don't really like talking about leg breaks and stuff like that. I think it's it's a horrible thing to be talking about. But 2 weeks after your debut, you had your leg broken in a match for Brentford, and you were out for a long time. Like, how was that at the time? Did you know straight away it was a break? And
Yeah.
what was your thoughts at that point? You must have been fearing the worst.
Yeah, the minute the tackle happened, I knew it was straight away. Just the pain that you get, this, that, and the other. I wouldn't want to go too much into it. I'm sure as you've probably spoken to Seamus over when he done it. It's a pain that you don't really want to be feeling. But I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong, and everything. To be honest, what came into my mind was just my family. I think it's trying. It wasn't about am I going to play again this time. It was more like, is my family all right? Like, are they going to be all right? Because hearing that I've got injured, when it gets reported on Sky, this, that, and the other, that he's looks like he's gone off with a broken leg. My sister was having she was having a christening for her daughter, so I had to ring up on that day. They were all celebrating the christening. I had to ring up and tell them that I broke my leg. So that I didn't feel great that I had to do that, because I felt like I was taken away from their kind of day as well. Obviously, I had to ring to let the family know that I was okay. But
Of course, yeah.
that year was a proper year of ups and downs, because my son was born that year. He was born in October, early October. I had that. I don't know if you knew that. Obviously, you've seen the issue. I got issued a warning from the FA for being an asthmatic, which at the time was very stressful, because that went on from early August till around May time the year after. So I had a lot of things. So I was going into every game thinking, is this going to be my last game? Am I going to get banned for being an asthmatic? Which, I won't go too much into, which I thought was ridiculous at the time. Obviously, I proved my innocence in every way. I did every test that they needed. I proved I was right. So, but that didn't matter. That all happened after I had suffered my broken leg. So there was a lot of things that were going on at the time, and I would say the one thing that came out of that was I'll never ever be questioned on my mental strength. I don't think, anyway.
Yeah, well, I said to you before we started, I think your wife Emma deserves a lot of praise for handling the whole situation with yourself, because you had two young kids at the time. Obviously a newborn, that can be so stressful anyway. But the fact that you had a broken leg, I'm sure you were thinking, when am I going to get back as well? But I know you call her a superwoman, so you feel free to give her a shout out there.
Yeah, it's just what she had to deal with at the time was obviously Jackson was only 4 or 5 months old himself then when I broke my leg. She had my daughter, who was a 2 year old. Obviously, my family came over to help. They were over for 2 3 weeks, but obviously they had to go back. They had to return, going back to go back to work, this, that, and the other. So obviously she's left looking more or less after 3 kids. I felt like on her own. You had me up in bed. I had my foot up for 2 weeks. I couldn't move. I was in bed for 2 weeks, as you would be with the recovery. And then one time, she had to put my son on the floor. He was crying because she had to tend to Emily, and I'm sitting there not being able to do anything, and she's running around like a mad thing. You know what I mean? But so she took that in her stride. Really, I never heard any complaints, nothing of the sort, and she still does that to this day.
Yeah, well, it sounds like she really took the mantle for you at that point, because I don't know, other players maybe might not have gone through that, or might not have got through that by themselves.
Yeah, every as I say, no injury is the same. Every player goes through different things. You could say players that can get ACLs, this, that, and the other. Players who have family there all the time, and then there's players that literally have nobody there. you know, their only interaction with people would have been going in to do a little bit of rehab and then going back to their house and there's nobody there. So mentally, everybody's in a different situation, or in different places, I would say. But like, as I said, I would always take that as an experience of, I'll never forget about it. You know, as I said, I think it's part of me.
John Egan, was he at Brentford when you were there? Because he had broken his leg as well. I actually look at the amount of Irish players that I think now have broken their legs. It's frightening. Like there's like about 5.
The year I broke my leg, I think there was 4. I think there was six or 7 leg breaks in England at the time. I think 5 of them were Irish players. Out of over the 6 or 7 that had happened, I think there was me, Ewan O'Kane, Johnny Hayes. Who else was there? Someone else I'm missing out. James McCarthy broke his leg. Seamus
That was a
broke
bit
his
later
leg.
on, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was all within a year. I was a year out, and then Seamus broke his, and then a few months later, James broke his. So like that, I found that weird as well. You weren't the only one who picked up on that. That it was a hell of a lot of Irish players that broke their legs. But yeah, I played with John at Brentford, and you know, what a guy. Yeah, no, he's a brilliant guy. He's a great leader, and you know, he's a good friend too.
Yeah, he's a great lad. He's good banter about him as well. Would he have been in good contact with you, kind of keeping your spirits high at that time?
Yeah, come around to the house, this, that, and the other. Him and his girlfriend and Scotty Hogan come around. I'd have Dougie, Harley Dean. Everybody would come around and see me. Manager would come around and see me. So, you know, we weren't left to our own really.
Well, that's good that your teammates would still come and interact with you and stuff like that. And obviously, you had the Irish lads there with Scott and John there as well. Well, kind of coming back from the injury, what was the feeling like when you were, I suppose, getting near back playing, and then you were kind of getting told, "All right, you're going to be in the squad here." You must have been buzzing at that point because it's like, is it 2 years or nearly 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. So I had when I
Long
first
time
broke
in a
my
football
leg.
career.
Yeah, when I first broke my leg, we thought 9 months, 12 months. So first time round, the leg didn't fully heal, so I had to have it, not rebroken, but redone. The minute I had the second operation, I felt like a completely different person. So the closer I was getting back to being fit, like it was just, you know, that extra bit of work, this, that, and the other. And then the relief when I came back and I got my first start back for Brentford, it was just, everything went so well for me. We won. It was brilliant. And then 3 weeks later, I was called back into the Irish squad, and then I played against Turkey. It was just like, I think, as I said in one of my things before, it was like the hell and back. It was all worth it though.
Yeah, and that was we played Turkey away, wasn't it?
Yeah, Turkey away, came on, played about 10, 15 minutes, and just, you know, it was just, I loved every minute of it.
Well, Scott Hogan made his debut that game, didn't he?
Yeah, Scotty made that, Hogan. That was the one thing at Brentford that I missed. I would have loved to play with Scotty at the time, because the year I broke my leg, he came back from his 2 year, nearly 18 months out himself with his 2 ACLs. Scotty came back and scored 7 and 7. I would have loved to play behind him because of the way he played. I reckon we would have had a good, very good understanding.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and the fact, obviously, that we're playing at club level, maybe that could have carried on internationally, but unfortunately, the way football is and whatnot, that wasn't to be the case. But maybe there'll be opportunities with Ireland in the future, please God. But your time then with Brentford, kind of, because you had 5 years there, and then Mick coming in as manager. We'll get through the campaign as well. We'll go quickly through that too. But just tell me your 5 years at Brentford before signing for Ipswich. I imagine you've great things to say about the club.
Yeah, I'm happy to come out of there saying I've got a lot more good memories than I do bad memories, and I'm ever grateful for that place. I got a promotion. I got to play for Ireland. I've had loads of good times there. Yeah, it was brilliant time in my career, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's nice when you can leave somewhere with your head held high and there's no bad feelings leaving the club. And I think that's always the best way to leave is when you can go somewhere. So I had great times there, but just the way things are, you just kind of slowly move on then.
That was the thing when I broke my leg. I was supposed to move in the summer. My contract was up. We renegotiated a new contract. I stayed. They looked after me. Brilliant. You know, the only thing is, I just wish I could have played a bit more for them on my comeback. You know, I seen players come back and they get a bit more time. They get chance to come back in, and you know. But I understood with the way Brentford were going. They were going up and up, and you know, I just didn't fit the mold at that time, like I did a few years before, and that was fine by me. You know, because as I said, I enjoyed my time there a lot.
Yeah, well, John Egan actually said that about, you know, when you're talking about the few years previous, they had a real kind of identity of bringing in technical players and working with technical players. He made that a point that that was the direction that the club were going at the time. So you're obviously a key part of that at the time before you got injured.
Yeah, no, as you say, I was part of those building blocks onto what they're doing now.
Yeah, so you can always look back and say you played your part as well. So you both played a part with each other, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, kind of, you were still at Brentford when you got in mixed squad, I'm sure, yeah?
No, actually, I was at Ipswich.
Oh, on loan.
I'd gone back to Yeah, I'd gone back to. I'd gone to Ipswich. It wasn't a loan. It was actually an 18-month contract at the initial time I signed. So I went there. Mick spoke to me when he took over. Yeah, Mick spoke to me when he took over. He says, "Look, I know you haven't been in the squad because you haven't been playing. You get back playing, you do well. I'll be coming to watch you." And you know, my first 6 months at Ipswich were great. I know we got relegated, but for me personally, with the way I was performing, it got me back into the Irish team. Ipswich got me back playing. So, you know, be grateful there as well.
Well, I remember, you know, you getting your opportunity then. I think it was it the Denmark game? You'd played before that though.
Yeah, we played the summer before. We played against USA and France.
Sorry, yeah, I'm going way off. Sorry. Well, no, that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. Sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit there.
No,
that was under Martin and Roy. That was John O'Shea's last game, wasn't it?
it was actually, yeah, it was, yeah, it was. There was
Testimonial, kind of testimonial.
Yeah, that was his last game. We played, I think, played France a few days before. You know, to get on the pitch to play against some of those players were, you know, it was unbelievable. And then the America game, I came on. I think I came on for 5 minutes or whatever, and then I managed to nick a goal. Jimmy keeps telling me that he set me up or that I robbed it off him, but I told him he wouldn't have finished that anyway.
It was a cracking finish, but like the thing I loved about it the most was you could see how much it meant to you, and as you said, the held back, and just seeing the relief in you and the celebration. I know it was a friendly, but that for me that doesn't matter. Scoring for your country doesn't happen every day, and that celebration and that picture of you like that, you know, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, because to be honest with me, it didn't. I couldn't care less that it was a friendly. That was just, I think, as people could see, probably an emotion of everything that had happened. I hadn't been playing at Brentford. I got drafted into the Irish squad because someone pulled out, not really expecting to play. I scored. I know it was just a friendly. You know, people would say that, but not many people can say that they've scored for the country, and that's what I was thinking at the time. And if my Irish career was to finish then because of the way injuries were at the time, and I was coming back, I wasn't playing week in, week out, I would have been like, that's fine. Not many people can say that they've scored for the country, although people might just say it's just a friendly. I think you've had lads on here and they tell you how much it means to play for the country.
Yeah, no, 100%, and they value their Ireland debut more than their actual professional debut. A lot of them, well, actually, pretty much all of them have said it.
And I would back that up as well.
Yeah. So, I just kind of, I'm bringing my mind back to that time. But did you foresee when you know, got not to touch on it too much, but the leg break from there? Did you envision seeing yourself scoring at the Aviva?
To be honest with you, at that time, I never set that. Not set dates. I would never think I can do this, I can do that. I was like always just taking it month by month, month by month.
Small
you know
goals.
I mean? Small goals, because the last thing you want to do was thinking, I broke my leg, I'll be back to the way I was playing. No problem, because it doesn't work like that. Everything else has to, you know, speed up, fitness, your legs. You're more prone to injuries. Just everything comes into account there. So I would always be one that would just take a month by month, because if I set myself a date, you'd be upset more than you'd be happy if you didn't reach those dates, you know.
Yeah, well, John had actually said about setting small goals as well when he had the leg break as well, because he obviously has gone on to be, one of our main centre backs now as well. So he had
Yeah,
setbacks like you and is in there now. Well,
yeah,
because I did jump the gun a bit. So on to Ipswich, then you're getting back into the squad under Mick. So from that point of view, you wanted obviously get back in the first team to be back in the frame with Ireland, I'm sure,
yeah,
as well as playing for yourself. So the Ipswich move probably came at a good time for you.
yeah. It did, and I got 19, 20 games on the bounce without fail, playing 90 minutes every week. It was great. Obviously, I know the team we got relegated. I think it was funny at Ipswich because we hardly lost when from January on. We hardly lost. We drew a ridiculous amount of games. I think we drew 9 games in a row, like 1-1 and 0-0. So if we could have turned some of them into, I know it's a long shot. The damage was done. I think from September to January, the damage was done. Or September to October, they hadn't won for a while. Sometimes that happens when a new manager comes in. I think it was Paul Hurst at the time. So anyway, yeah. So me personally, I was enjoying my time. I was thinking playing football every week. I'm back in the Irish team. I know we got relegated, but I was really enjoying my time.
Yeah, because we were in them. It was March. Then Mick came in for his first game. Was it Gibraltar away and then Georgia at home?
Yeah, yeah. He came in, and I got called in the squad, and I imagine a few. I think I do remember a few people questioning why I was brought back in, this, that, and the other. But you'll get that, and you know, I knew from years ago that Mick has always liked me, but Mick wasn't just going to pick me because he liked me. I had to be playing well, and I think he proved that as well with some of his squad selections. He picked players on, their form as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Kind of leading off from that, we played Denmark in May or June. Um, but we played them near anyway this summer. That game where we drew 1-1, and you came off the bench in that game, and we're really really effective against that Denmark team. Where we're losing 1-0. You came on, made the difference, got the assist. What was it like coming on in that game and changing the game? What did Mick say to you?
To be honest, Mick just turned around and said, "Judge, you just get warmed up." I had really had a good training camp. We had trained for 3 weeks before that. I was flying. I was in great shape at the time after coming back, and I had that funny feeling myself that he might turn to me, because there was other big players on the bench that he could have picked from, and I'm pretty sure some people probably think, why is he picking? Why is he? Oh, he's bringing on Judgy or whatever. Some people think like that, but yeah, to get on and just that was my first competitive match as well, which I got told after the game. So, which was crazy. I'd been in and around it for 4 or 5 years, and that was my first competitive game. They scored, and if I remember correctly, I think it seemed like their player ran off the back of me, and he nicked it just in front of Kesey, and I was just like, oh no, I'm after coming on, and lucky enough, I felt like I was able to make amends, and you put the ball anywhere in the air, and you have big Duff coming towards it. It's only going one place, really.
Yeah, but towards the end of that game, we looked like we could have went on and got the winner. Unfortunately, we didn't. But you ended up getting injured in that game, and it was just very unfortunate because you were really starting to kind of. You said it was your first competitive game, but people were actually calling for you to be playing the next game because you changed the game in our favour.
It was just one of those unlucky things again. A ball broke. Jeff played me in, and I went for it. I probably didn't need to go for it, but like we were on the ascendancy at the time. We were playing a bit of decent football, and I went for it. And to be honest with you, I think the Denmark player let me know, and just he shoved me when he didn't need to. So I'd gone to cross the ball. He hit me in the chest. I fell back, and I could fall that way a million times and do nothing to my wrist. But the minute I fell, I knew it broke. I could hear a crunch, and that was that.
Yeah, it was unfortunate though because as I said, you were really, and I remember making the press conference just saying, it's a shame because he said you were going to start the next game.
Yeah, the gaffer said if I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Yeah, but that was a bittersweet moment. It was, it was one of those things. I'm feeling like I could play the next game. I feel like I'm in here. You know what I mean? I could get a chance, and then, again, click of the fingers. It is what it is. That's what happens. I'll never what's the word? Stay on that moment. I'll always go on and go on to the next one.
Yeah. Well, just kind of because I have you nearly over an hour now. So we're kind of leading off the back of that. At that stage you would have been after that Denmark game. I imagine you would have been out then till pre-season and coming back in. But kind of just in regards to the campaign itself, I mean, there were some good results in there. Especially I always say it, because I think people give Mick a hard time. I think he got the crowd back with the players, and I think that connection towards the back end of Martin O'Neill's era, I don't think it was quite what it should have been. Obviously Martin and Roy had great times, but towards the end it kind of soured a little bit. And then when Mick came in, I think he brought that back, and there was a bit more of a buzz between the crowd and the players. And I think the players got a lift out of it too, because it was something fresh too,
Yeah, definitely the Switzerland game. Because I remember I was part of the squad when Longy scored the goal against Germany. I was beside. I didn't make the squad. I was sitting beside Moyler. Moyler, I think, was injured at the time, and when Longy scored that goal, the noise was just unbelievable. I've never heard anything like that before. And then fast forward to the Switzerland game when Deedsy scored that goal, it was just, and to be on the pitch personally, oh, it was unbelievable. It was just, the noise was incredible. And, yeah, I have to say the crowd, the crowd that night was unbelievable. And then the Denmark game, even though, we didn't get to qualify for Euros, the crowd was unbelievable. The tension in the air, it was brilliant.
And the thing is, I don't really remember Denmark having too many chances. I thought we played really well that night. People saying that we can't raise our game and stuff.
I thought the lads were brilliant that night. I thought they were great. I thought they were brilliant.
Yeah, and but just to kind of stay on the Switzerland game, Mick always seemed to have you in and around there, bringing you in when he could, and always seemed to bring you on when he wanted to change the game. So that was a serious compliment towards you, I feel.
Yeah, it was. It was like the fact that he felt I could change the game, not change the game. I could add to the game, and I think under Mick, I was lucky enough when he did bring me on. I felt like I added a little bit to the team, and like most players, kind of want to feel like that, and just it was always nice to know that I was always one of the players in his mind that he was going to turn to. I wasn't a starter under Mick, but I owe him a lot.
Yeah, well, obviously, because of the coronavirus and stuff like that, he's obviously no longer the manager. But I think, for your own sake, the playoffs has been kind of pushed back till next year. So I think that's a better opportunity for yourself, because I think if you were fit and we say won the playoffs, I think you would have been in the squad. I think Mick would have had you in the squad either way. But I think it's an opportunity for you now, next year, I suppose, something for an incentive for you to get back in the squad under Stephen Kenny.
Yeah, of course. You always want to aim for something, and that's it. I definitely want to aim for that, because I feel like, as I said, this campaign, I've been part of it. 2016 was a bit different. I was on the edges of it. I was on the the fringes of things. This campaign, I felt like I've been part of it. Because I've played a bit. So Steve Kenny's coming in. He'll have his own ideas, and we'll just have to see what happens, really. But hopefully, as I said, I feel like when I have played for Ireland, I don't think I've let us down. I feel like I've done all right. I've done well, and if I ever get to play, or if we get to play more games, I'll always turn up.
Well, this is it. Just in regards Ipswich, obviously, you're not going to be able to play for the rest of the season because you're injured. So hopefully you can come straight in pre-season, hit the ground running, and get a good run then under your belt for next season when the season starts back up again. I'm not. Well, we can't really discuss the season because we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm thinking more next season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I learned from my wrist break in the summer. I came back too early from it. I wasn't fit enough. I went on the pre-season tour with the lads when I probably shouldn't have. I should have probably had another week or two rest. I went back running after 2-3 weeks of the broken wrist, and I didn't get fit really till this December. And no, so I'll be taking this with more caution. Coming back from this injury, I won't rush myself back, because my fear back then when I broke my wrist was I don't want to miss any games for Ireland. I don't want to miss any games for Ipswich because I have that tag over my head saying he's always injured.
Yeah, is that something
So
that you kind of? Oh, sorry, go on.
it's a more or less a determination thing. I wanted to keep proving people wrong, and you don't want to be labelled as an injury prone player.
Yeah, I think that's an Irish thing as well, though. Just proving people wrong. Conor Heron spoke about it as well. That he had a fear of failure. He didn't want people, so he was determined to prove people wrong. Obviously, you've that tag that you said there, but if you're hitting the ground running pre-season and coming into September, October, November, there's going to be games with Ireland there, and hopefully you're in the squad for them.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Stephen he'll look back on other matches. As I said, he'll have his own ideas. He has younger players coming in, younger players emerging who are doing very well. So we'll just have to wait and see it. But I can only control what I can control, and that's me making sure I'm fit, I'm playing this, that, and the other.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'm just going to finish off with a fan's question, and then I'll let you go because you've been very generous with your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi Alan, my name's Luke. I was just wondering who's the hardest player you've played against while playing for Ireland?
So I would say playing against, it would probably be, as if it's coming up against your opponent, would be probably Rodriguez, who plays for Switzerland, the left back. I've come up against him twice now, and I remember my debut. He was just all over me. It's just that intensity, and yeah. So I'd probably go for Rodriguez. Obviously, I remember we played against Switzerland as well. Xhaka. I remember I watched him a few times. He doesn't give the ball away. He literally doesn't give the ball away. I know he takes a lot of stick in England for his tackling and stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever seen him give the ball away. And then you'd have the likes of Eriksson. It was at in Denmark, but direct opponents, I would say it'd probably be Rodriguez.
Yeah, well, it's no doubt how highly rated he was in Europe for so long. Still probably is. That left foot as well that he has. He's a quality player. I think that Switzerland team, Shane Duffy had said it to me before, but I think they're very underrated. I don't think people realise how good a side they actually are. They're always qualifying for tournaments as well.
Yeah, because that year, 2016, people were looking at their team thinking that they could, go really far in the Euros that year. And if I remember correctly, I don't think they didn't do too well. I'm not really sure, but I've always found Switzerland, when I've watched them, especially when the lads played against them in their place, I thought they're very hard to play against. They're very well organised, move the ball well. I think as any international team, the standard of international football is completely different to what I would say championship and etc.
Yeah, but I think a lot of them have played together at club level as well, which obviously helps when you play at club level and you're bringing that into international, because you got to train together. They know each other's game a lot more, as well.
Yeah, and you don't have to build up relationships.
Yeah. Well, Alan, I'm going to leave it at that. You've been very, very kind with your time, and I've really, really enjoyed it. I hope you recover from your injuries as quick as possible, and I hope to see you on a pitch soon.
Yeah, I'll be soon enough. Hopefully it'll be in the next few months when this is all over with.
Well, please God, and hopefully we'll get you on again when you're back playing, and we'll be able to talk about you being back in the Ireland squad. Please God.
Sure, no problem. Thanks.
All right, thanks very much, Alan, and don't forget to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you're watching, and leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you have anything to ask Alan, find him on social media. We'll have his socials underneath the same as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you soon.